Welcome, everybody, to Inside Boxing Weekly on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I'm your host, as always, Mike Goodpaster. Like right now, I'd like to welcome in my co-host, Jeremiah Preisser.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in week and week out. Let's talk some boxing, Mike.
All right, most definitely. Tonight, this is not our weekly boxing show yet. That'll happen later tonight. Tonight we've got a former boxing legend. Help us welcome to the show, former contender, Ruben Castillo. How you doing, Ruben?
Good. You know, it kind of sounded so good when you started, Michael, when you said a boxing legend, and then you said a boxing contender. You see, most legends are champions and former champions and 5 title belts and all that stuff. I came in second a lot. Not a lot.
Yeah, but you know what? The guys you came into second knew you were there, and all those guys were legends also. It's just like me and Jeremiah were talking. We said that on the show. He said, he was really good. I said, you need to go back and watch him because Jeremiah is younger than me. Mm-hmm. And I said, this dude could fight. This dude went tooth and nail with Salvador Sanchez, Juan Laporte. I mean, all these greats.
Listen,
I mean, he could fight.
First and foremost, my first world title fight, I had no business in. I had a signed contract to fight Danny Little Red Lopez, and I was his sparring partner before he went to Ghana, Africa, to fight for the title and won the title. And right before he left, I dropped him in the gym with 16-ounce gloves. Now, that fight we had signed, sealed, and delivered, except for Alexis Arguello was scheduled to fight Samuel Serrano, and Sammy Serrano broke his hand in training. At that time, Don King had all these TV dates with ABC Wide World of Sports. So every weekend, there was a world title fight. So ABC told Don, you better get somebody quick, because if Serrano, if we have to drop the Alexis Arguello fight, then we're done. We're done with you. So they made me fight Alexis and put Salvador Sanchez in to fight Danny Lopez. I win the first 10 rounds and got stopped in the 11th by Alexis. And remember, back then, Michael, these fights were 15 rounds. So then right after that, because of Howard Cosell, they gave me another shot at the world title 90 days later against Salvador Sanchez, that just beat Danny Lopez in the featherweight. See, because they made me move up to the junior lightweight division. That wasn't my division. I walked around at 127 pounds. And Alexis was 5'10", 130 by fight time. He's 140, 145, and I'm still 128 pounds, you know. So it was kind of bittersweet. But when I fought Salvador Sanchez, I whooped his ass. Can we say that? I whooped his ass.
You can say that.
And they stole the fight. And they never gave me a rematch. They made me fight 5 title elimination bouts. I fought a guy by the name of Antonio Becerra, the only guy to ever beat Salvador. I knocked him out in his backyard in Mazatlan in 3 rounds. And then he fought another guy named Juan Escobar. Juan fought a draw with him. I knocked him out in 8 rounds. And then they kept putting me other guys hoping I was going to get beat, and I didn't. So finally, we were going to fight a rematch, and that's when Salvador was killed in a car accident.
All right, but my whole point to telling the story was this. Jeremiah actually went back and watched all those fights, and he changed his mind, correct, Jeremiah?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, to be honest with you, I wasn't too familiar with the scene. Again, it was a little bit before my time, so I had to go and get familiar with it, do my studying and whatnot. And, yeah, certainly, I mean, Castillo proved that he was a hell of a fighter. And honestly, I thought that. Yeah, no problem. I thought Cosell kind of had it wrong. I mean, I was listening to him call the fight, and I actually gave you more of the earlier rounds than he did. He seemed to.
It was so funny because Howard really liked me. Howard, I would say.
Oh yeah, Howard always. I mean, I think it was the start of the Sanchez fight when he talks about you and how classy a boxer you are.
And then if you get hit, he's a ship jumper. Oh, he'll jump a ship in a minute. So, but he was really a nice guy. I really liked Howard. He was a super guy, and I used to always say, hopefully one day I could do color commentary, and it happened, but not with Howard, you know. But
Howard was great if he liked you. You may not like him too much if he didn't like you. But all right, we'll start off with this.
Mike,
you had a storied career. Fought your way up out of the West, squaring off of a number of legends. Yeah, as you said, you did some commentary work. So let's start from the beginning. What was it like coming up as a fighter, especially out in California where there's so many quality fighters and great venues?
Well, I got to tell you, we were just talking about this the other day. I was at the National Boxing Hall of Fame, and they inducted Jorge Paez. He's a dear friend. We go way back there. I got a lot of stories about him when I was promoting as well, and we'll get into that. But, and we were talking to Carol Steinler. Carol, they own the Main Street Gym out here in Los Angeles, and that would be like Gleason's gym out there and stuff. But the Main Street Gym, at one time, there were 8 world champions, current champions, training in that gym at the same time. And Danny Lopez was world champion. Frankie Duarte was just about to fight for the title. Mondo Ramos, Carlos Palomino, all these guys, and we were all friends. And I was thinking, and I don't know if you've ever been out here, Mike, or if you ever gone by any chance or got a chance to go to the Main Street Gym when it was here. They had these flight of stairs, like 3 stories. Today, as we're talking, none of us can climb those stairs today. but that's where the gym was. As soon as you got, that's where there were some swinging doors, and all you could hear was the speed bags going, the bell ringing, people jumping rope, people hitting the bag. It was just unbelievable. It was just a great place to train.
Well, I'm sure there was a lot of good sparring there, huh? But I wanted to ask you about, in '76 you were given, the ring used to have an old award called Progress of the Year, again, which you won in '76, and then in '77 you participated in some U.S. Championship tournament, which was terminated, but you ended up fighting a guy named Kenny Walden inside a jail, and I couldn't imagine something like that happened today. I mean, do you remember that fight? And
absolutely. That was the United States Boxing Championships. And that was a tournament that was done by Don King. And what it was Don, like what we're going to do, Mike and Jeremiah, we're going to have a tournament to create champions. So what he did, and I'm surprised nobody's ever gone back to do something like this. Don King was in the Marion, Ohio Correctional Institute. He was in prison for manslaughter. When he left that prison, and Ali helped him get out. Ali helped with his influence. When Don got out, he did the Thriller Manila. But Don was in that prison, and he told the warden that he'd come back for a different occasion. So when we did he had the United States Boxing Championships. One of the sites were in the Marion Correctional Institute in that prison. And then I don't know if you guys are too young, but there was a fight on a battleship out in Florida.
I remember this actually because I'm one of the very few Scott LeDoux fans, and I remember when he knocked the toupee off Howard Cosell when he got screwed over in the Johnny Boudreaux fight. I think that was the fight on the battleship, wasn't it?
Right, and because of Scott LeDoux, they stopped the whole tournament because Don King. Now my division finished first, so Don King was giving us training expense monies. And they paid us well. I mean, look, this was in 1977 or something like that, 1976, 1977. My first fight was an 8-round fight, and I got $7,500. And then as you advance, I went to a 10-round fight, and I got $15,000. And then the 12-round fight, I got $37,500, and I thought I was one rich Mexican. And this was way back, bro. And so what happened is he gave us $10,000 for training expenses, and he never approached me with this. But Scott LeDoux had gone to ABC after getting robbed. I think he got robbed, right, Michael? Is that what you said?
He got robbed pretty bad. I think he won every round, and they gave it to him. And they come to find out, I think Don King was paying off some people there.
Well, exactly, and because Don King was taking some kickbacks from fighters. And Scott LeDoux was not about to give him any of his money, and so he felt that they stole the fight because he wouldn't give any money back to Don King, and they stopped the tournament. But my division did finish, and I won the United States title. So I had 2 belts: the United States featherweight title and the North American Boxing Association title. But WBC, IBF, or the other world titles, it was tough. And but again, you know, Mike and Jeremiah, you know, back in those days, any fighter ranked in the top 10 and back in those days would have 5 title belts right now. So
yeah,
it's just different. It's different eras, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so you were riding an undefeated record going into the Arguello fight, which you talked a little bit about at the top of the show. From what I hear, you trained in the same gym as him. You were neck and neck with him the entire way during the fight until he caught you with a body punch. I think it was in the 11th round. What was it like fighting a legend like Arguello, and exactly how hard did he hit?
Well, you know, it was really weird because when we went to – I was living in Tucson at that time, and the fight was in Tucson. And he trained. He was there 2 weeks prior, and he would train early. Now, when I would see it, and Alexis was to me was one of the greatest fighters ever, until I saw him in person. I said, this guy's too skinny to be able to punch, and I'm gonna box the crap out of him, you know. And so I'm looking at, he goes, you know, and very kind, very polite. I go, this guy is shit. I'm going to whoop his ass. You know, so, my word. His jabs felt like right hands, you know. I mean, again, I thought, you know, Howard had us ahead. I was winning the fight up until the 11th round, and he hit me with a body shot that I felt like I was stabbed. I thought somebody stabbed me in the side because he hit me like in the kidneys, you know, and it hurt so bad, dude. And only one other time did I feel that same pain, and that was against Julio Cesar Chavez. These guys, well, Alexis, hit me so hard when I thought I was paralyzed. I mean, it was like a stab, like somebody stuck me in the side with a knife. And I urinated blood for like almost 10 days. It was horrible.
Oh. Wow.
So I said to myself, you know, I will never say he's too skinny. You don't know until you're in that square circle, my friend.
Right.
Yeah, just because they call you the thin man don't mean you can't punch.
Man, I'm telling you. And he was like, you remember Randy Johnson from the Diamondbacks?
Yeah.
He had like a slingshot. I mean, but Alexis was very patient. He was a fighter that he wouldn't get crazy for you. Like I was slapping the crap out of him, and he couldn't fight, and I was gone. Boom, 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 and I was gone. You know, and then I got to where, you know, he hadn't been hitting me. He hit me with a jab a couple of times, and he hit me with the right hand. It was a grazing punch. But I was thinking, you know what? I'm gonna take him out. I think I can take and crack. Oh boy. That was not the thing to do. I'm sorry?
It looked like you had stunned him in this. I mean, because one thing I noticed when you were fighting, you used a lot of, you know, you throw a left hook and then follow it up with a straight right hand. I mean, it looked like you had Arguello teetering for a little bit, you know, not seriously hurt. But, you know, one thing I noticed is Sanchez hit you quite a bit more than Arguello did, but Sanchez didn't seem to have the pop that Arguello did.
Sanchez, you know, and again, we were talking about this. Somebody asked me, a reporter asked me at the Hall of Fame luncheon, did I think that, like at that particular time, everybody was saying that Salvador Sanchez was pound for pound the greatest fighter and the greatest Mexican fighter ever come out of Mexico. And, you know, Salvador Sanchez, as far as I was concerned, and God rest his soul, could not bust a grape. He could not hit hard. And you see, I don't know if you guys, how many fights you've seen of his, but he slapped his right hand, and I'm going to tell you, I went after him for 15. It was a good fight, and I outboxed him. I wanted to make him look silly, and I don't know. I don't think they show this, or they have. I don't know if there's any video on this. After the 15th round, he wanted to get off the ring, and Cristobal Rosas, his trainer at the time, the fight ended in his corner, and so he told him, you respect Ruben Castillo. He's ready to leave. And then they gave him a decision. And the guy would not, absolutely no way fight me in a rematch until, finally he had all these defenses. And what's another thing that's weird? Every time, and I stayed active. I didn't, because I wanted to fight him. And I thought, like Don King told me, I will get you a rematch. And Jose Soleiman promised me a rematch. So I stayed active and I stayed busy. And it was like every guy that I would whoop his butt, Salvador Sanchez would fight him in a defense, and then fight somebody else, and he'd fight him in a title defense. I mean, he's like waiting for me to fight. Okay, Rube, go ahead, beat the crap out of him, and I'll fight him in a title defense. Never would he ever fight me again, and he had no plans. But I have a friend of mine that was in his camp. That after he had passed, he came on over to our camp. He told me, he says, Salvador Sanchez was never going to fight you unless it was absolutely, unless he beat it, and he did. He beat most of everybody in the top 10, unless he had to, because it was a controversial decision supposedly, and blah blah. So they didn't. I was ranked number 1 in the world. I got dropped to only like 2 or 3 in the world. So they kind of won. And Howard Cosell was also helping, demanding the rematch because it was such a good fight. And I just know that he, as far as I was concerned, he was not pound for pound the greatest fighter. And believe me, in Mexico, there are a whole lot of Salvador Sanchez's. There's a whole lot of fighters that are much. To me, there's no bigger than Julio Cesar Chavez. So, I mean, nobody hit as hard as he did. And
all right, so eventually you squared off with Chavez. Also, Juan Laporte, another great fighter. You want to run us through those fights real quick?
Well, with the Juan Laporte fight, now, Juan and I have become best of friends. He's going to be part of Double Trouble Promotions, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. But Juan Laporte become a very dear friend of mine. In that fight, I think we're one of the second or third 12-round fights. When they reduced the rounds, instead of 15, they reduced them to 12-round title fights. I fought him in Puerto Rico, okay? And so we're fighting about the 8th round because I'm slapping the shit out of him. I'm just, And about the 7th, and Angelo Dundee was working my corner. He worked with me that fight. And Angelo had told me, he says, send me some film. Send me some tapes. And back then in '83, those Betamax tapes, So I sent him a few of them that I had, that Don King had sent me. So Angelo was studying the fight, studying his style, blah blah. He says, okay, when we got to Puerto Rico, Angelo says, Ruben, we're going to win the title today. And the fights are going to, the fight started, it was on ABC, of course, and so had to be in the ring 5 minutes to 1 because the introduction, blah, blah. The fight was going to start exactly at 1 o'clock. By 2 o'clock that afternoon, you're going to be the featherweight champion. But you've got to listen to me. If you listen to me, you're going to be the featherweight champion of the world. Do you hear me? I said, yes, sir. Are you going to listen to what I tell you? Yes, sir. So we're fighting. The first 6 rounds, I'm just... And I went to exchanging punches with him, and he catches me with a right hand that changed the dynamics of the whole fight. When I went back to the corner, Angelo Dundee said, I told you to listen to... And he slapped me so hard. Oh. And at the 7th round, Juan Laporte steps on my foot. So while I'm pulling my foot away, he lets go, and I fall on my butt. The referee starts counting. I said, what the are you doing? I didn't get knocked out. And that was part of the difference of the fight. Besides the fact that Angelo slapped me so hard. I mean, he slapped some spit out of my mouth. He was pissed.
Did he hit harder than Salvador Sanchez?
All day long. So the Laporte and you know Juan Laporte, he's just a great guy, and I don't know if you got a hold of him, Michael, but you should.
Yeah, he will actually be on next Thursday in this time
okay,
slot.
now
We'll have Juan Laporte on.
Please tell him Ruben said something about you stepping on his foot, and after he's done laughing, he's telling him. He's so full of, and he's going to go on. So he'll say shit. He'll say all these good things.
The tape don't lie, Ruben.
Yeah, but he'll tell you. He'll tell you that's bull. But he did step on my. And actually, I should say he didn't let. He threw this real gay right hand that hit me on top of the head. It was the most precious thing you'd ever. It's so cute. Come on, Juan, really? You know?
Oh man, you're going to get us in trouble with all the politically correct people now, Ruben. You said gay and everything else.
Oh, yeah.
That's all right though, because I think they're all a little weird. But go ahead.
Yeah, but so that's your. This is your call. You know, you told
me.
No,
it's fine. I don't care. It's my station, so their network. Right. So it's not like I can fire myself and just put Jeremiah in charge. But
there you go. Yeah, go on vacations on paid leave. But you know, Juan was a hell of a fighter, and he fought Chavez, and he fought Salvador Sanchez. So
and he gave both of them fits too.
Yeah. Juan had a right hand, bro. That man, that guy could crack. I'd never admitted to him in person, but he.
Yeah, we won't let him listen to the tape.
Don't let no. Juan, I'm kidding. You couldn't bust a grape either. You're just like Salvador Sanchez. But now, if you want to talk about, I got a good little story about Julio Cesar Chavez. Don King had called me up. He says, "My man, you the champ." And Don is the kind of guy when you hear him talk on the phone, you can see him. I could see him. He in his office with his big ugly boots, with his feet on his big old desk, and he's leaning back in his chair. You the man, you the champ, and you know he's just so full of crap, you know. So Don was telling me about this kid that ain't fought nobody. I said, what's his name? He says Julio Cesar Chavez. He just fought for the title. He just won that vacant title, champ. I want you to whoop his ass. He ain't you know, it's just Don. So I said, Don, I got to tell you something. You son of a, you owe me $50,000 from the Laporte fight because he gave me a check. Well, it's too late now. The IRS can't do shit. He gave me a check for $175,000 and $50,000 cash. I didn't have to pay taxes on. This was his story. So he said Duke didn't have it. So Don, after the fight, he takes off because at that time, like I said, he was doing title fights on ABC Sports. So he was gone all over the world, all over the country. He's everywhere, you know, because the next week was another title fight. I think it was a Benitez. Benitez fought somebody for the defender's title. But anyway, Don was the hardest guy to find. He was harder to find than Jimmy Hoffa, you know. So this guy was everywhere. And he owed me $50,000 because Duke says, he never told me anything, Ruben. I can't give you $50,000 in cash. Come on now. Don takes everything home. So the after Laporte fight, that was 83. 85 was the Chavez fight. I said, you know what, Don? You're so full of shit. You know, you owe me $50,000. So he says, where are you? I said, I'm in Bakersfield. What airstrip? And I told him Meadows Field. And he says, get on. There's going to be a plane tomorrow. Get on the plane. Tell your manager. I don't need my manager. He says, tell your dad. I said, I'll take my dad. Get on the plane, come to New York, and we'll sign a contract. So my godfather was my manager, but he was just like a manager just so that people weren't stealing money from me. I could do, especially in those days, you could. I dealt all my own fights, you know, because when you're in the top 10, you're either fighting for the world title or you're getting tomato cans or whatever, you know, just to stay in shape. So I jump on this plane. I go to New York, and I go to Don's office, my father and I, and Don gives me a little small briefcase. You know, if you played poker, those poker chips, you know those little briefcases like poker chips? That's the size of the briefcase. And he put $50,000 in 20s in that briefcase. And I said, why do you do this? Don, 20s for real? Why did you just make them $5 bills? He does it to make it look like you got $1 million, right? I said, you know what, Don? I know you. I bet you're short. This is short. That's why you did it in 20s. You son of a. And so we made the deal with for the Chavez fight. I get on the plane, and my father and I are counting. So we put it all back, take it to the bank, and I was right. He was $180 short. Can you believe this crap? I called him. I said, Don, you're the I know what you're gonna say. You know. So then I fight Julio, and I got to tell you, he put 15 stitches in my left eye. He broke my right cheekbone and 2 ribs in 6 rounds. And Don King says, do you want a rematch? I said, why? Are you crazy? Don, I'm going to the hospital. I'm not going to Disneyland. This is bullshit, man. You told me this guy was nothing. Bro, he was 39-0 when I fought him, Mike. And he went to 90-0 or 92-0.
Yeah.
89.
I was a part of that. Oh, you see, now at that time, Roger May was a dear friend, and we were great friends. Raj called me up. He says, you know, I'm the Mexican assassin. I don't give a crap. If I were you, I wouldn't sign that contract, Raj. He's going to hurt you. That guy's a real shit. He's a real deal, man. He's going to hurt you. Don't sign it. My man, I'm the Mexican assassin, all right. And he whooped his ass. And then he did it again.
Yeah, I think Chavez knocked him out in 2 on CBS in like 85 or 86, and then he came back and beat him on HBO, knocked him out in like the 9th round, like 88 or 89.
Yeah, he wouldn't hurt him that round because that time Julio was funny. If he liked you, he'd take care of you soon. If he didn't like you, he's going to whoop your ass until the 12th round, knock you out in the 12th. That's what he did to Camacho.
Yeah.
He didn't like Camacho. There was a few fighters he could not, and he would just string them along, and then pow, good night. You know, Julio was funny. And another one, we're best of friends. You got to tell me who you guys like in the fight, Junior or Canelo?
Canelo.
Yeah, I got Alvarez. I got Alvarez as well.
What's that?
I've got Alvarez too. I think he's too good for Chavez.
Yeah, and you know what I noticed? And we were talking about this today, that Julio Jr., he's well, I got to tell you the story too. We're at the WBC convention in Miami about 4 months ago, and Julio comes out of one of those convention rooms, and I was sitting there talking to Juan Laporte and Evander and a couple other fighters, and Julio come out, he tells me in Spanish, you're not going to believe what fight was just made. I said, who's that? He said, my son and Canelo. And he asked me, who do you think will win? I said, I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. I wasn't about to answer that question.
Yeah.
Because you see, I had already fought him once. I'm about to do it again.
Well, I think that
Yeah,
I think that Canelo has just been committed to being a fighter for a long time. And I think Chavez looks like he is committed this time, but I'm going to go with the guy that's been doing it for years instead of the guy that's been a little erratic.
Look how many times Junior's visited the canvas.
Yeah.
You know, Julio, his father didn't visit the canvas until he was, way late in his career. It's just so
Frankie
weird.
Randall.
Yeah, Frankie Randall, and it's so weird that fighters, the athletes, the fathers, they just don't produce enough to get the sons to be as good as them.
Right.
Well, don't you think that's a little bit of, like Julio Cesar Chavez, if he's your daddy, it's not like you're going to have a rough life growing up.
Exactly. The kid doesn't have discipline. I don't know if you guys knew this or heard about this, but right before Junior fought the first time for the world title, Martinez,
yeah,
he got picked up for drunk driving 2 weeks prior to the fight. Who does that?
Yeah.
You know, that's the dumbest thing. What are you doing drinking?
Well, it showed in the fight.
You know, and then when the fight, of course, the outcome tells you why he got stopped. You know, because he's just a knucklehead. His father was never. Now, then, later, of course, Julio had a substance problem. So I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's crazy, and I don't know if you've seen the 24/7, but you know, Julio was talking about having, you know, Junior grow up, and his dad was Julio was saying that he had Junior opening his can of beer for him, you know, when he had friends watching fights or soccer or whatever they were watching on TV. Go get me a beer, open my beer. And Junior was opening his beer. Well, geez.
No, the thing I remember about
be a bartender.
Huh? Yeah, right. No, the thing
bartenders
I remember
make pretty good money with tips, though, Ruben.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, the thing I remember about the 24/7s when Chavez was in that big mansion in his pink underwear eating a bowl of cereal.
Wasn't that crazy? And I was in that mansion. Dude, you know, that was in Culiacan, right? He turned.
Yeah, I think it was.
That mansion, he turned it into a clinic. It had an indoor swimming pool. He was telling us, because we had a big press conference, Jimmy Lennon Jr. was there, Laporte was there, Oscar, everybody, and he was on a podium in his house, and he was telling us that he had taken, he says, if these walls could talk, it would give you a very sad story about my life. He said he had Julio Jr.'s mom by her hair on the third floor, bring her down these steps, drag her across the courtyard, and throw her into the swimming pool because he thought that she was having sex with his brother, Rodolfo. And at that time, after she went into the water, Rodolfo came, and he beat the crap out of him and knocked out his 2 front teeth and threw him in the water with her. And it was an indoor swimming pool. But he says that's because he hadn't slept in 2 weeks because he was coked out of his brains. And I never knew anything about that. That was crazy, crazy, crazy. But, you know, I mean, when you Jose Soleiman, that was like his kid, and any trouble Julio got in, Jose Soleiman was going to bail him out. Just like Don King did to Mike Tyson, for Mike Tyson.
Well, I mean, that goes all the way back to Customato and Mike Tyson now.
Yeah.
Where you kind of turn your head and let stuff happen. That's why when people tell me, well, if Customato would have still been alive, it would have been different. No. But, I mean, if Cuss would have nipped that in the butt when Mike was 14 or 15, it would have been different.
You know, it's so funny you said the word butt because you know Customato was gay.
No, I did not.
I was you didn't?
No.
Are you kidding me? Everybody knew that. See, so what you were saying, he nipped that in the butt. You know, really, he was.
So what are you saying here, there, Ruben?
I don't know. I'm just saying. You know, bro. I thought you knew he was gay, and you were just trying to make a little joke.
No, I didn't. But now I should act like it was because it was a funny joke. I knew who Bill Griffith was.
Yes, I feel so sorry. I feel bad for your listeners right now, bro. I hope you'll have about 4 or 5, and that's it because they're going to talk about.
We
sorry,
got thousands,
guys.
so you open up a whole big can of worms.
Yeah, we're in the thousands here now. It's not just like me, you, Jeremiah, and Jeremiah's dog listening. So.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry to your listeners, bro. I'm gonna be a little bit. I'm going to try to be a little bit more professional. But don't say the word butt no more when you're talking about Customato. Okay, go ahead.
So I guess ass would be wrong too, right?
Yeah, that would be wrong.
Okay.
Or ass.
Well, how about this? Let's just not talk about him anymore. Jeremiah, you get the next question.
Yeah, actually I wanted to, since you seem to know a lot about Julio Cesar Chavez's career, I wanted to know if you knew what went on in, his 12th fight? When originally I think he lost by disqualification and then it was overturned. You know anything about that?
What fight was that? No, I don't. Absolutely no.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'll find out. So it was he fought Miguel Ruiz in 1981. That's when he was small. So originally it was recorded as a loss for Julio Cesar Chavez by disqualification, and then it was changed to a knockout victory for Chavez based on some local boxing commission who decided they altered the verdict after the fight the following day. And if I'm not mistaken, Ramon Felix, Chavez's manager, happened to be on that commission.
Wow.
Now, see, I knew that, Ruben, and you didn't, so now we're even.
I was still dazed from the fight that we had. 11 fights later, I was still trying to come out of my coma. I don't remember that. That's crazy. That is absolutely. I don't remember that.
Maybe
but I know all the other smut and whatever else you want to know about Julio. I got it.
No, you can drop it if you want. Go ahead. As long as he wasn't dating Custody Amato, I'm up for anything.
Do you guys remember the Costa Sioux fight?
Yeah.
Right.
Now, I was at the fight, and Julio, and again, we're all of us, most of us, become friends after you take an ass whooping, and it's good to be friends with whoever whooped your ass because you want to be friends with them, and Julio and I become best of friends, and I was at the fight when he fought Customato.
There we go.
Oh, hell, you better straighten up and nip that right in the butt. I mean,
when he fought Costa Sioux. And I went to his dressing room and I said, Julio, the very first punch that you need to throw in this fight, now listen to me. He says, well, okay, listen, look at me. The first punch you throw, you bring his cup right up to his neck. He says, hit him in los huevos, bro. Why? Because that kid is you 20 years ago, bro. That guy is a Russian Julio Cesar Chavez. You better have him thinking about something totally different than this fight. Because if you they're not going to disqualify you. It'd be the first punch. You bring his cup up to his neck. Because if you don't, he's going to give you a major league ass whooping. And he didn't listen. He didn't listen.
Zoo was a hell of a fighter. One of the most underrated fighters I think that's been in the last 30 years.
Didn't he take a whooping?
Yeah.
I think it was in the 6th round they stopped the fight.
Yeah, I think it was.
Julio quit. He didn't want to fight no more. He quit in the corner. But man, Costa Sioux was one bad hombre.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I don't. You ever see him as an amateur? I mean, he whipped Vernon Forrest. He was a hell of an amateur.
No, and these especially back then, I fought. I only had like 50 something amateur fights. I didn't have many, but because who's that one kid, the Russian kid that's coming up? In fact, he's a world champion. Only got like 11 fights. God, what's his name?
You're talking about Vasil Lomachenko?
Lomachenko. I don't like him. Oh,
don't say that. Jeremiah's in love with Lomachenko, by the way.
I don't like him. Jeremiah, let me tell you something.
Lomachenko's got the biggest man crush. Put it like this. When you bring up Lomachenko, I mean, Jeremiah does his inner Custody Amato.
Hey, listen, Jeremiah, if you like Lomachenko, you know shit about boxing. This guy had 3 billion amateur fights. You watch. Tell Mike, what's the guy's name? That kid from China that's had like 5 professional fights and become champion?
Zhu Shming?
That guy. Is he still around?
I think that they actually put him up with a Pat Cower. He's kind of like a partial champion now because they put him up against some bum to get him a belt.
This guy, that kid there, in 2 more years, and he's young. He's going to be talking to himself. He's going to be facing a wall, talking to himself. This is Lomachenko in 5 more years, my friend. The guy is if only I could have been in his position right now, 22, 23 years old, Lomachenko would take a absolute ass whooping from Rube. That guy is at the right place at the absolute perfect time. There's nobody there. And Lomachenko, to me, ain't shit. But that's just...
Ooh, Jeremiah, those are fighting words.
Bro, I'm sorry, Jeremiah, but that guy... And my son, he says, you don't know what you're talking about, Dad. Lomachenko is yakety. Quit it. Stop. But these Russian kids now. Look, one of my best friends, and I have all the respect in the world, is Triple G. But I think if he fights, and I understand because I was up in Big Bear yesterday, and I was with Abel Sanchez, and he says it's 95% done. Him and Canelo. That fight there would be ginormous.
Yeah, and I think the problem there is, I think Canelo's made him wait so long that I think Triple G may be started on the downhill slide too.
Well, I don't know. I mean, styles make fights, and the
yeah, and I think Canelo's style is for Triple G because he's going to come right at him.
Exactly. He don't have to look for him. And when you fight a guy like Triple G, your first thing is they're going to tell you box, move, tie him up, do this, and that kind of fight makes it look horrifying. It's an ugly fight, but it's a smart fight. But Canelo has no way of boxing, grabbing. He doesn't do that. That's not him.
No, he doesn't have your lateral movement.
No, he doesn't come right. This is why this fight this weekend is going to be so good.
Yeah.
Because they're going to both come at each other, and they both have more huevos than brains. So, I just think that as soon as Julio gets hit with that first grenade, it's going to be over with.
All right. Well, let's speak about what he's doing today, Jeremiah. I know we had a conversation the other day about your WBC youth tournament. You want to tell us all about that?
The tournament is just almost, and I hate to say all this stuff. Well, you guys are back east. Does your station come out this far?
Yeah, we are. Actually, we get like 10% of our listeners from like England.
Really? I'm talking about California. You guys out here?
If we're in England, Ruben, we're going to be in California.
Yeah,
we're all over.
I'm
just teasing you, Ruben.
I'm hoping so somebody can steal this idea. I have an exclusive anyway. What we're going to do, the WBC Youth has been in operations for 10 years, and it's produced 40 world champions. So I'm going to do a tournament to create champions. We're going to start from the bantamweight division to the middleweight division, and then the in-betweens, bantamweight, super bantamweight, featherweight, super featherweight, all the way to the middleweight division. And whoever wins their division, the bantamweight division gets a direct shot at the WBC Youth title. If it's vacant, then we'll get the number 1, number 2, boom, 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 and let's tee it up. So what we're doing is I want to create some champions. And so the first round of the tournament, it'll be 8 rounds, just like we did in the Don King tournament. The first round was 8 rounds, 10, and then 12. So as we speak, 8-round fighters make maybe $4,000. In the tournament, they're going to make 10. So we're going to give them an opportunity to take $2,000 of their money, put it into a trust account, and their name at their bank, and Double Trouble will match it. That's like a 401k. So we're going to take care. I'm a fighter before I'm anybody. Before I'm a promoter, before I'm a businessman, I'm a fighter first. So I want these kids to have an opportunity to have monies because, Mike and Jeremiah, look, I fought most of my life, all my professional career for Don King, okay? As I fought for titles and non-title fights and yakety. I fought for Don King. And I've seen him, since I've retired from boxing, I've seen him maybe 15 times, and he acts like he doesn't know me. And I want to change boxing and turn these kids into businessmen. Get them monies, get them to where teach them how to do things with it. Because once fighters are done boxing, promoters don't give a crap. I do. We're going to give these fighters, these kids, if they have children, we're going to get them full coverage insurance. Because, and we're going to get them good insurance, not this crap that Donald Trump just signed today. We're going to give them the good shit, okay? We're not going to give them where they got to pay half their life earnings just to get. We're going to furnish insurance for these kids, for their children. And see.
So it's going to be like he's a congressman.
Yes.
You get the congressman insurance, you get it made.
Yeah, exactly. So they're gonna all be government. So they're gonna have the good shit. They're gonna have good insurance. You see, look, Oscar Golden Boy doesn't do it. Top Rank doesn't do it. Gary Shaw doesn't. There's no promoters in the world that do these things. Why? Why? If it weren't for us, promoters don't make fighters. Fighters make promoters. So if it weren't for us, they wouldn't be anybody. You know, if it weren't for Canelo, after Canelo, who does Oscar have? You know what I mean? So take care of your fighters. Take care of them as we would have liked them. Man, could you imagine Don King giving my kids? I had 7 kids by the time I was 24. I was another Evander Holyfield. I was hitting it, you know. And back then I had hair and I looked good and I was thin. I had a little bit of money. I owned 2 Corvettes, and so come on now, 2 kids were born. I made them in the Corvettes. But so don't get
that was an expensive car then, wasn't it?
That
Ruben?
was one expensive car, bro. So you know. Speaking of that, you've got to hear this story. Your listeners are in for something. You know, Mike Tyson. I love that guy. He's a dear friend of mine, but he can't drive a stick shift. So Don bought him a Ferrari. Now Mike Tyson had a Ferrari. The top was down, and he had 5 black guys in that car. It's a 2-seater, for Christ's sake, guy. And he's got this Ferrari, and he's got it in first gear. He don't know how to drive a stick shift. 45 miles in first gear, 85 miles per hour. He blew the engine in his car. Hey, Don.
I guess that explains how he lost it all, huh?
Dude, he said, hey, calls Don King from off the freeway, those call box. Hey, Don, this car don't work. Yes, another car. This motherfucker don't work. This car, it's about to catch fire, Don. Unbelievable. So, at least my Corvette, bro, I didn't do that, and I could drive a stick shift. It was a six gear. It was badass. So, but I don't know where we're going with this, but it was a funny story. I have no idea. So go ahead, ask me another question. Oh shit!
What are we talking about, Jeremiah? Oh, the WBC Youth Tournament.
Michael,
where would this take place?
That guy is fried. Something's wrong with Ruben. Go ahead.
Oh, shit. No, I'm fine with it. If you want, you can come on every week with us and talk the fight.
Bro, I got some stories, man. But anyway, we'll go. So the tournament, we want these kids to become champions, and we're going to do it every year. And it's going to be a WBC. Now, I wanted to get, you know, like different sanctioning bodies like WBO, the WBA, IBF and stuff, but you know, there's sometimes the WBC, like we don't have a good relationship with Paco Valcárcel, who's with the WBO, and other, you know, but there's no sanctioning body as prestigious as the WBC as far as I'm concerned, and there's no greater person in boxing than Mauricio Suleiman. This man has got the heart of gold, bro. He helps fighters. You know, he's got the WBC Cares Foundation that raise monies for fighters that are broke or down and out and homeless, and like Pernell Whitaker, he's a piece of anyway. So, but and pretty soon he's gonna be broke, and I was gonna knock his brains in over there in Miami, but we'll talk about something else. But I'll let you know after we get off the air, because that guy's the only guy that's gonna make me say the F word on your station, so I don't want to talk about him. That son of a. So anyway, but the WBC,
Jeremiah said it enough on here, so go ahead.
so the WBC is and they, like I said, they give monies to fighters that are broke and down and out and stuff, and so that's one of the reasons why I want to bring the WBC youth. We want to put it on CBS. And other networks and so that hopefully we can do a weekly show on CBS with the WBC, about the WBC, together with the WBC, because I breathe, I eat, and I bleed WBC. And because they do so much for fighters and for, especially if the WBC Cares Foundation, bro, there's fighters that I know like Paez and other fighters that are Paez is sick. He's physically bad, and they're helping him. Without that, no fighters would be able to go to a clinic or to a hospital or whatever. Because 99% of us retire broke, and I thank God that I've was a little sharper and didn't do the crazy things that most of us do, but I'm going to help kids achieve their final goal. I didn't become the world champion, but I'm going to have champions, and I'm going to help fighters become champions. I just got to keep them away from kids like Julio Cesar Chavez and keep them away from Alexis Arguellos, and hopefully we can find a bunch of Salvador Sanchez's that can't bust a grape, with their name, Salvador Sanchez, and whoop that ass. So, but we want to. I'm going to, and hopefully, once we're on and off and running, I want to come back to your show and bring some fighters to your show and say, look, here's what we've gotten already. And I remember when we first talked, when I was talking about Customato, and you said but, and you know what I mean? We'll go back to this conversation in 5 years with some bunch of champions that we've already created. That would be cool.
Oh, that's fine with me.
You know what I mean? And then talk, and then I could tell Jeremiah, what did I tell you about that Russian pile of shit?
Actually, you told Jeremiah he didn't know shit about boxing, so.
Right, and you didn't know shit about, and you still probably don't, do you, Jeremiah? See, we can talk about that stuff, you know what I mean? Oh, God.
Most definitely.
You guys don't even know how much better I feel. I get off this shit off my chest. Well, this is like therapy.
Hey, anytime you need to get shit off your chest, you give me a call, and we'll do a show. We'll base it around whatever shit you got to get off your chest, and we can just call the show like Ruben gets shit off his chest.
You get the shit off your chest show. This is
the shit show with Ruben.
The shit show. And speaking of this, I want you guys to know our very first show. When you start something new like a tournament like this, it takes time to catch. It's not going to catch right away. You're not going to have 10,000 people at your show, at your fight. So what we're doing is we're going to attach a concert to it. So the fights will start at 3 p.m. By 6 o'clock, they're all done. I'm going to attach a concert. We're talking to Smokey Robinson. I've got a friend of mine, Little Willie G from the Midnighters. He did Land of $1,000. You guys remember that song? I said, na, 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 na. You guys remember that?
Yeah, I do. Jeremiah don't because he's only like 19.
Jeremiah, how old are you, bro?
I'm 31.
Same damn thing.
I've heard the song.
Okay. and you still don't know shit about boxing.
Thanks, Ruben.
One day, give me 15 minutes. I'll teach you everything you want to know about it. Okay, bro?
That's what Gus used to tell him.
Face that way. Don't do it. Don't do it. But yeah, we can come back.
That's why Mike talks the way he
does. He'll do what?
What was that?
Maybe that's why Mike talks the way he does.
What is that? You mean Mike Tyson?
Yeah. Oh, no, he talks like that. He's. I'm gonna tell him you said that.
You ought to, and then have him come on the show.
Oh, yeah.
That would be cool as hell.
Where's that mother? I'll whoop his ass. I swear to God, I'm serious. He's ludicrous.
Yeah, because I've seen the way he talks to some reporters there, Jeremiah. So.
Yeah, Michael is different, bro. And when you see him in the ring, God, have you seen his knockouts? His greatest knockouts? I saw about 45 minutes of that crap, dude. I feel so bad for the ones that didn't get knocked out. Those guys, they're out there. They're talking to themselves, and those poor guys are messed up. But Tyson, he's got a big heart, bro, and he's trying to also start a boxing thing. You know, if you don't have TV, a casino, and a whole lot of sponsors, you're gonna get beat up.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk to you guys. You know, Michael, I think I told you about the solar thing.
About the what? Yeah,
Solar
you told me about
energy.
the solar thing.
See, that's with solar. That's what's going to get us all the monies we need for these kids. We just got approved with the Dominican Republic. We're going to solar up that country, bro. That's going to bring millions of dollars to Double Trouble. With that, we buy airtime for you guys, and I can say all the shit I want to. No, but
that is fine. If you want to buy airtime, I'll let you say, do whatever you want. I'll let you reenact Castillo.
you know, if and we'll talk about this because I like this show, and you guys need to get other brain dead fighters like me and listen to their stories. Everybody's got a story, bro.
Well, see, that's why we do this show, and we have not brain dead fight. You know what I mean, no? But you're the one who said that, not me. I just wanted to bring that up to all the fighters out there listening.
I think because they all have stories. Look,
I know,
and they're interesting stories. You know?
Yeah, and that's why we're trying to get guys like you, Juan Laporte. We've had Carlos Palomino on in the past, Tim Witherspoon. Yeah, we want to get everybody. We want to get everybody's story. We also do current fighters. We had Mikey Garcia on a couple weeks ago. So, yeah, we want everybody to be able to tell their story.
If you ever want to know about any of those fighters, I got shit on everybody. Carlos Palomino. No, I'm telling you, we did a show in Nogales with Paez. I had Paez fighting, and I had Alexis. God, I loved Alexis. He was such a great guy. He came, and Alexis came just so with these guys in Mexico, Alexis and Carlos Palomino and Michael Carvalho, people would go just to see them. You know, they didn't give a shit about the fight. They just went to see.
Yeah.
So Carlos went with us to Nogales. So we put a hat in the middle table, and we had like 3 Porfirio tequila bottles in front of us, and we all put $100 a piece in the pot, and the last man standing got the money. There were like 15 of us. Carlos Palomino was one of the first ones done. So Michael Carvalho and I, we have him, his arm around our necks, and we're dragging him to his room. Boom, throw him on his bed. He was done. 2 days later, because we were there the week of, he hadn't come out of his room. Now, if he were sitting right here, I would tell the same story in front of him because he don't scare me, and I've said it many times. 2 days later, we opened his door because I'm concerned. Carlos is face down still, except for he's still asleep, but he's in a thong. In a thong. The welterweight champion of the world had the hairiest ass you'll ever see on a human being with a thong. And I'm going, oh, hell no. What is happening? This guy was my idol, my best. He was my best man at my third wedding. So, you know, he's wearing a thong. He had that thing buried. All you could see was the T-bar that was leopard skin. Bro, I lost all respect for Carlos. You know, quit it. So that's a story I can tell on your show next time.
I think you just told it this time.
Exactly. No, we got to give your listeners time to tell other people. Hey, Rube's got some stories. You got to listen to this shit.
Well, if you want, we could just go story time with Ruben Castillo every Thursday night.
So after the Paez fight, we're all at the bar because over there in Mexico they don't close that. They close. What time's the last call? They tell you you're stupid. They slap you and pour you another drink. So we left the bar like 4:00 in the morning, going back to my suite, you know, because we had a bartender and all that shit. And we passed Paez's room. No, Jorge, no. I'm thinking, he's beating this chick up. So we pound on the door. He peeks around the door. He goes, what's up, homie? I said, are you beating that woman up? No, pendejo. He opens the door, butt naked. And I'm going, wow, no wonder this poor thing is screaming. You know, She was doing the custom model thing. This guy, this little featherweight, holy shit. You know, what is going on? So we left him alone. This woman, and this was a ring girl, wanted to come back across the border. She wanted to get into my trunk to bring her across the border so she could be with Jorge Paez. It isn't because he was good looking, especially back then. He has a mohawk, and he still is, poor guy. He's an ugly little fucker. He's really ugly. You know what I mean? But she was coming across because of his leg. You know what I mean? This guy.
Not the one he puts a shoe on, right?
No. I go, and I saw him. They just inducted him, and he's been married to the same woman for 28 years, and he's been caught 10 times. 10 times he's been caught with other girls. That woman ain't going nowhere. Go ahead. I don't care. I got mine. You know what I mean? I got stories, man. Let's get back to sports, man. These poor guys are listening and going, this guy ain't got a lick of sense. So
no, I believe everybody is enjoying this, Ruben. I am at least. I don't know about you, Jeremiah.
Jeremiah, you guys have some sick listeners. I'm telling you right now. Listeners.
Well, they're all Jeremiah's family.
now let me tell you something. The next time I'm supposed to be doing a thing with ESPN, I'm gonna tell them about y'all station. They got the sickest listeners, man. They were stuck to their radios listening to my shit.
Yeah.
You guys are sick.
Well, you ought to tell ESPN about us because we got to get paid at some point, Ruben.
Exactly, bro. So let's talk some more. What do we want to do? So the tournament. Let's talk about that tournament. It's going to be Double Trouble Promotions. I have 2 sets of twins. So I wasn't messing around, bro. I was going, and they were different moms. I have 6 kids with 4 mothers, and the reason for that is because I went to Catholic school, and they told me to love thy neighbor. So that's what happened, bro. And I was a great Catholic. I still am. I mean, you know.
I think they said love, not fuck, Ruben.
Oh, that deal. But you know, it started out with love, and then it went right to ugly.
See, damn it, Ruben, you're so bad you made me say the F word, and I'm always making fun of Jeremiah for it.
Yeah, you know, see? So don't get me started with the F word. Fired. You're fired. That's the F word. So yeah, but the tournament, again, you know, I just can't emphasize that we want to change the dynamics of boxing. Now,
are you planning on doing this out in California, or?
Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start it in Bakersfield. I want to start in Bakersfield. Bakersfield's my hometown. That's where I was raised, and that's where I went to Catholic school. And so we'll start it there, and then come to Los Angeles. Then we're going to go to Puerto Rico, Panama. Then we'll go to Washington, and we're getting venues. I don't know if y'all remember Jimmy Montoya. Jimmy Montoya, one of the greatest trainers ever. He's like a father figure to me, and Jimmy is part of Double Trouble Promotions, and we're just going to go back to old school. We're going to Mexico, and here's another thing I want to tell you guys. Like Juan Laporte, Pepino Cuevas, Marco Antonio Barrera, Daniel Ponce de Leon, and then you have, remember, Carlos Zarate, Alfonso Zamora, all these great champions. They're going to have their fighters. They're going to recruit fighters, and we're going to pay. Double Trouble is going to pay for their contracts, and each fighter has their fighters. They're going to be in the tournament. Now, fighters know fighters, you know. So in Mexico, when they go to the gym, especially one of the gyms that I train with Cuyo Hernandez, they had 16 world champions out of that one gym. So that gym, they're gonna recruit their own little fighters and stuff. So let's say you have Pepino Cuevas' fighter fighting one of Carlos Palomino's fighters. That legitimizes your tournament because we know fighters, and we're gonna have the cream of the crop of these fighters. And not only that, everybody gets paid. Everybody gets, you know, like Pepino and these guys. They're in Mexico. I'm sure they don't have the money they did, but now look, $1,000 a week. In Mexico, that'll take you a long ways, you know, and put them on a salary. And we have all these champions, former champions with fighters, and let's create champions, you know. And it's a win-win-win. And there's enough money in solar to take care of these some bitches. You know what I mean? And we're going to, my friend. We're going to, Michael. We need to, because if we don't, these kids. There's another Chavez out there, another Pepino in Mexico, another Laporte, another Wilfredo Gomez in Puerto Rico. You know, there's some great fighters, but they don't get exposed, and they don't have the money to come over here. We're going to do it for them. We're going to create champions with them. That would be, to me, if we can get 3, 4, 5 world champions out of this whole tournament, in 5 years, I'd be one happy Mexican, you know, because we help them achieve their final goal, and that's why we're in this. I didn't become a fighter just to fight. I wanted to become a champion, and I just so happened I fought all the toughest son of a bitches that were fighting at the time, you know, because our great fighters come in eras. And I happened to be in the wrong era, you know what I mean? Like football, like basketball, like baseball. Remember Fernando Mania? My cousin, Bobo Castillo, God rest his soul, Bobo taught Fernando the screwball. And that's my cousin, you know, and that era is gone. There's when you're going to see another Fernando Valenzuela. You know, Kershaw's great, but he ain't Mexican, you know what I mean? So it goes in spurts and in eras and stuff like that. And so, you know, hopefully, and there's some Russians that we're looking at that can fight, except the guy that Jeremiah likes. But, you know, these guys are some tough fighters, man. I'm telling you, those Russians can fight. I don't know what happened to this guy, but they can fight.
There's a lot of them that can fight, but this guy, yeah. Well, I mean, he did go 396-1 as an amateur and win 2 golds, but I don't know. You might be right.
But you know what, bro? That's great. That's great. He's not a Chavez, and he will never be one. You see, the Russians, guys, look at all the Olympians. The Russian fighters keep winning. When you step in that square circle and you take that headgear off, it's a whole different deal. Right now, he's still being fed fish. And he's a lightweight? What weight is he?
Well, he started off as a featherweight, and now he's at 130.
Okay, he's a junior lightweight. I would have slapped the shit. In fact, just pissed me off enough. I'll go to the gym. I'll lose 30 pounds, slap the shit out of him anyway.
I know he's over at Robert Garcia's gym every once in a while, so you might be able to find him.
Quit trying to start a fight, Jeremiah.
No, I'm the promoter, Jeremiah. Knock it off. I'm the promoter.
We got to wrap it up, but I would like to ask you, since, I mean, you're friends with Chavez and everything, we're going to do a review show of this week's weekend's pay-per-view on Sunday night if you're interested in calling in and sitting in the live show.
That would be wonderful.
Okay, I will give you a call probably tomorrow. Yeah. We'll discuss it.
Okay.
All right, Ruben, I want to thank you for being on the show. Jeremiah, do you have any final words for Ruben?
Go ahead,
no, I just want to...
I know where you live.
Man, it's a long drive.
You just know the state, Ruben. Go ahead.
I'm near Denver, but I'm a ways out, you know. But hey,
I know, my brother.
Ruben, it was great.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be with you guys, and I'm sorry I didn't give you a chance to talk much, but you know sometimes I'm just coming out of my shell, Jeremiah. If you notice that, so. It's great, and I want to come back to your show. I want to come back onto your show, and I want you to talk to Efren Herrera. You think I talk a lot? Efren talks a lot. He's got a lot of stories.
I would love to have Efren Herrera on our football show.
Yeah, that was so. Michael, just tell me what fighters and what athletes. Kenny Landro from the Dodgers is a great friend of mine. Fernando's a great friend. I'll help you. I'll get you. They're not going to be as fun as me. I want you to know that right now. They're not going to be as dumb as me.
Yeah, but anytime I want to have fun, I'll just call Ruben.
Yeah, that's it. But you guys deserve to have some good people like Fernando and look, even Evander. Have you talked to Evander yet? I can give you his number. I don't give a shit. I told Evander.
I would love to have Evander Holyfield on. I mean, in the 90s, that was my guy because he's the one guy, when you paid your money to watch him on pay-per-view, he gave you what you paid for.
Right. Now, Evander, sometimes he pisses me off. He don't call me back. I give his number to homeless. Like there's people in front of 7-Eleven. I'll give his phone number, and they'll call him. I won't do that.
Okay, so should I immediately, when he answers the phone, say, let me start off by saying I know Ruben, but I am not homeless?
And I'm not home. I'm not at 7-Eleven. No, don't worry. I'll give you his number. We'll talk. All right, my brother?
All right. Thanks a lot, Ruben.
Thank you so much. See you guys.
All right. Thanks.
All right, bye.
All right, guys. I want to remind everybody that we got a big fight coming up this weekend. Canelo against Chavez. We will have a live show, which you can listen to. You're not going to know about it. It's already going to happen when I post this show. But you can go on our page, www.grillingtruth.net, and hear myself, Jeremiah, former cruiserweight champion Steve Cunningham will be on the show with us, as will former super welterweight champion Cornelius K9 Bundridge. So make sure you check that out. Jeremiah, any final words?
Any final words? I mean, honestly, that was probably the funnest guest we've ever had. I mean, it was great to have Ruben on. Unfortunately, I wish we had more time. We've got to have him on again. I mean,
yeah, because I'll tell you, if we didn't have the live show tonight, we'd still be talking. Well, he said he would come on to do the review show. We'll do that Sunday night with him about the Canelo-Chavez fight.
Yeah, no, that sounds fantastic. I mean, we got to get him on for his. I want to hear him talk about wanting to punch Pernell Whitaker. That hooked me.
Yeah, well, you don't let me forget because you know I will. But I want to remind everybody also to check out our two main sponsors. That's Gridiron Mo, a football app. Make sure you check that out at www.gridironmo.com. And then Replenish Care. Make sure you check them out at replenishcare.com. So for Ruben Castillo, Jeremiah Preisser, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.